Bhargava. Did I pronounce that right? Please correct me.
Yeah, Leah, good morning and good evening to all from Davos. This is Bhargava Gorty.
How are you? Are you in Davos this week with the team?
I wish I was there, but I couldn't. I'm calling right now from New Jersey, in the central New Jersey. I live in central New Jersey.
Well, welcome. Glad you could be here with us virtually. So, Bhargava, thanks again for joining virtually. If you can share just a couple-minute introduction about yourself and your background, just for those of us who don't know you.
Sure. Thank you. You know my name, you all Bhargava Gorty. I work for Columbia University. I've been with the university for almost 20 years. Before that, I worked in different industries as a developer and as an ERP developer. But then since 2003, December, I started with Columbia University. I like the place, I like leadership. So stayed there, did my master's in technology management from Columbia University. Was in multiple roles, right, from developer to now senior director in the application security and data protection space. And married last 27 years, 2 kids. One is out of college working in New York City, and the other guy is a son he's a sophomore in the school. So still have to pay my bills.
Well, congrats to the one out of college. That's huge. And in terms of the topics that the team will be discussing this week with the leaders from all around the world in Davos, which one or two or more are of interest to you from your perspective?
See, with my experience, with an unbiased opinion, the thing which really attracts me is the data protection. And one can say, why data protection? Because all the boundaries and all the checks and balances, all these protections are surrounded to protect what? To protect the data. So that's very near to me. And as we know, the data is, two things are growing, humans and data. And the data is growing in leaps and bounds. And definitely people are generating the data. And protecting the data has become the most important aspect. For the world community to look into it, and then they are realizing that how important the data is and how it can play a major role in either making somebody's life or breaking somebody's life. So nation states, companies, entities, non-government organizations, everybody depends on data, and that's very close to me. Data protection is one, it's dearer. At the same time, I would say like application security is another one which is dear, which is very near to me, because it's through the applications, either you generate the data or you distribute the data. So that's one other thing which is very dear to me, like how we protect our applications, which is they are the conduits in collection or distribution of data.
That's, data protection is always like the hot topic, right? Because everyone's still trying to figure out how you can do it better. So thank you for sharing that that's one of your big ones.
Right. And then also to add to that is that we had a GDPR, we have California new laws come in, and we are now US is trying to put in, India has come up with the big PII, basically data protection law. So this will basically, if I have to put in one line, which I put in my signature in office, is our job is to protect the bottom line. Basically, any breach will directly impact on the bottom line. So that's what we do, and that's what I love to do, is basically protect the data. And security is not what I always been believer of. It's not restricting access, but giving to the access to the people who need it, because that's why we are in the business. So keeping the business at the forefront, but at the same time say, hey, we have your back. We know you go and do your business, and we will take care of the data protection.
Well said. So looking at this year, right? Because we're just out of the gate in 2023. What are some of the major or big trends that you're seeing?
So one is ransomware, obviously. Either it would be a state-sponsored or it could be malicious attackers. What they are going for, again, the data, in terms of whether they want the data or they're asking for money or in the form of Bitcoins or crypto, whatever it is. So ransomware is big. The second thing is people have already covered it, software supply chain management. The reason more and more outsourcing, more and more like diverse, in the diverse locations, people are contributing towards one monolithic codes or they are building that code. But how do you protect that supply chain? Like, for example, giving them tools which help them identifying the vulnerabilities at the development itself, not beyond post-production. That will help in reducing the vulnerabilities. In turn, will prevent, in my opinion, the attacks coming in. So technology perspective-wise, what in my thinking is preventive technologies are always, I look forward for those preventive technologies where these technologies prevent any hack or any compromise happening. So these are the top three for me.
Well, Bhargava, we really appreciate you coming and sharing your background, the work that you're doing at Columbia University, and the topics of interest to you, as well as those major trends that we'll see around data protection and other areas. Very much appreciate your insights and for calling in virtually for us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Looking forward to hearing more from you throughout the year.
Definitely, and it's a pleasure of mine. I'm really, I thank the Purple Book community to basically onboard me, and it's a great initiative, and it's all our duty to protect the world from these bad actors.
Yeah, appreciate you doing that and helping to be part of that community. Thank you so much. Okay, and I think we've got a couple more speakers here. Trying to look at who might be next here. If the next one in line wants to come on up. Is that, should we start here with Sangram? Did I pronounce that correctly? Help me on the pronunciation.
You did that right.
Okay,
Leah.
good.
Thank
Well,
you.
it's good to meet you and see you here. So Sangram, welcome. Where are you calling in from? And then also share a little bit about yourself as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. And I'm calling from San Jose, California, the Silicon Valley of USA. And in fact, many of my colleagues are there this week. And unfortunately, I could not be there. I am based out of Silicon Valley for, I guess, 20 plus years now. I lead the cybersecurity function at a company called CDK Global. We are a very unique company. We move more than 2.5% of US GDP on our systems. We are a SaaS product. We are, in fact, a SaaS company before even the word SaaS was introduced. I'm here. I'm delighted to talk about a few things. We can go to specific details as you talk about. But my areas of interest is identity. I think that's one area besides obviously other domains, but identities I'm very passionate about, and we'll be glad to talk about those.
Excellent. So Sangram, of the including identity, and then of the topics too that they will be discussing this week at the Cyber Dialogue in Davos, can you expand on that in terms of what you see this year that you think will be the big trends or things that we need to look out for, and or guidance or advice that you have?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think let me set the stage by stating where I'm coming from. Right. So I spent almost like a decade in various fintech companies like PayPal, Square, and a few others. And I was part of, before I joined CDK, I was part of a startup. We were trying to build the financial identity of the country. It's a platform we're after. And if you look at the identity as a space, many of these fintechs or even banks have done a good job, right? Obviously, with new devices like iPhone and Android and identity, which is essentially what carrying with you, you are able to authenticate and essentially tell who you are and the engagement model around that. In fact, iPhone has a very unique space. I believe they will be probably disrupting the financial industry in future, because they got quite a bit of specific data set which helps prevent fraud and various other things like geolocation, things like device ID, You cannot dispute the fact that you are not the one who did not use the card or the device to make a payment, like Face ID and various other things. So they got that pretty well. The financial industry have done it very well. But if you look at the overall space with respect to identity, and we are at Davos, we should talk about the big picture, the world problem as such, right? But if you look at break it down and look at the three buckets, I would say, right? Business to consumer space, device use of devices, use of technology, that has matured a lot, right? Business to business, again, that is at from a financial standpoint, it's at a much better space. But then if you look at human identity, right? Like think about a world where we have our own identity. We have a global passport, let's say, and you carry yourself wherever you go. And that information is so unique, belong to you, that through any, like even from a travel standpoint, even going and getting the help you need from a medical standpoint or even financial services, human identity should be so unique, and you should have some set of data which can define who you are. The counter side of that is the bad guys cannot hide, right? And to do any transactions with respect to identity, you got to tell who you are and how do you want to interact. So I'll take a pause, but this is a space which has to be better, because if you look at the cyber incidents and if you look at the activities we see in our space, it is back primarily, I mean, again, we have to talk about the percentage of it, but it is primarily misuse of identity. It could be a human identity, it could be a machine identity, it could be compromise of some sort. So if you get this problem solved in a way, I believe we'll have a better world.
Sangram, really appreciate you sharing your views there. That is a very big one still that continues to persist. And I don't think we have all the answers yet. So really, we're going to be curious to follow you on the conversations and your guidance that you have throughout the year around this very important topic. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And for your colleagues too that are here in Davos, wish them a good week among the discussions in Switzerland.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.